Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order. It's 7:01, Monday, November 18th, 2024. I'd like to acknowledge that this meeting takes place on the traditional territory of the Stahelis. Next item of business, Corporate Officer.
Next order of business is introduction of late items.
Are there any late items to introduce? Seeing none, next item of business.
The next item is approval of the agenda.
So moved, Mayor Talon.
Moved by Councillor Fascio, seconded by Councillor Vital. Discussion. Seeing none, I'll call the vote on the agenda, on the motion. All in favor? The motion carries unanimously. Next item of business.
Next item of business is adoption of council minutes. Item A is that the public hearing record dated November 4th, 2024 be received.
So moved.
Moved by Councillor Vital, seconded by Councillor Jackson. Discussion, errors, or omissions? Councillor Fascio.
Thank you, Mayor Talon. On the page, on the public hearing, page number 7, at the heading where Mr. Allen makes comments in regards to the provincial setbacks. Following that, I believe it was after Mr. Marks's comments that our CAO stated that they'd received another email from the Highways Department that was reduced to 2 meters. So that's been omitted from the public hearing minutes, and I believe that should be in there as part of the record. So I'm making that amendment.
Thank you, Councillor Fascio. A motion to amend to include the information provided by the CAO regarding a 2-meter setback. A seconder to that motion? Seconded by Councillor Jackson. Discussion on the motion? Councillor Swinebens.
Is this an amendment that we've asked for of the ministry already? Because I assume it's going to impact the ratios from 75% to 95%. Perhaps you have a comment, Mr. CAO?
We're back. Councillor Fascio.
Thank you, Mayor Talon. To Councillor Schweinbens, it's omitted from the record that the CAO stated after the discussion from Mr. Allen, or it could have been after Mr. Freddie Marks, it completed his comments that the village had received a second email regarding a variance change from 4.5 to 2 meters. And that was omitted, and I believe it should be in the record.
Thank you, Councillor Fascio. I do recall the remarks that the CAO made at that time. Any further discussion on the motion? Councillor Schweinbens.
Thank you. I assume we're going to be talking about this development in the future, but I'm just curious, that 2-meter setback, is that in law for all provincial highways now? I remember, or was it just a variance given to this project?
Councillor.
May I, through you, Mayor Talon,
Sure.
may I ask the CAO to reiterate? Thank you.
CAO.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yeah, that is correct. It is legislated that 4.5 meters on a provincial highway, which would include Hot Springs Road and or Lillooet Avenue. Applicants along that corridor can request a reduction in that 4.5 meter setback, in which this developer did, and did receive the 2-meter or 2.5 meter reduction down to 2 meter setback.
Thank you. Any further discussion? I'll call the vote on the motion to amend. All in favor? That carries unanimously. Any further discussion on the motion regarding receipt of the public hearing record? Councillor Swinbanks.
Thank you, Mayor Tallon. I think there was some comments about procedure and process with regards to the public hearing, and I think I recall that we were going to be discussing this when we meet with the planner and discuss our bylaws, and that is with regards to notification about the public hearing that happened. After the hearing, I did have a lot of people come up to me on the street and express their disappointment that they weren't notified with enough notification and enough time to get to that meeting. So hopefully that's something we can address for future meetings.
I think that was the conversation at that time. Any further discussion on the motion to receive the record of public hearing? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor? And that carries unanimously. Next item, Corporate Officer.
The next item is that the regular council meeting minutes of November 4, 2024 be adopted.
Move, Mayor Tallon.
Moved by Councillor Fascio, seconded by Councillor Schweinbanz. Discussion. Councillor Vital.
Thank you, Mayor Tallon. I will refer to page 13 of these minutes. Under my report, it is noted Agassiz Harrison Healthy Communities that I attended a meeting on, and no date was given. I don't believe I had a report on Agassiz Healthy Communities during that meeting. However, I will be attending one this week sometime. So I would ask that the minutes be amended to just reflect that there was no report.
Just to be clear, you're making a motion to, under your report, the second bullet, Agassiz Harrison Health Communities attended a meeting on, be removed?
Yes, and if it could just be or noted that I had no report on for Agassiz Healthy Communities. Thank you.
So there's a motion to amend the report from Councillor Vital to say there was no report because that hadn't met yet. Okay, instead of attended a meeting on, just say no report. I think I get it. Any further discussion on, oh, we need a motion for that amendment. Moved by Councillor Vital, seconded by Councillor Swinbanz. Discussion on that motion. I'll call the vote. All in favor? And that carries unanimously to amend the minutes accordingly. Any further discussion on further errors or omissions on the regular council minutes of November 4th? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor? And that carries unanimously. Next item of business, Corporate Officer.
The next item is that the special council meeting minutes of November 8, 2024 be adopted.
Moved by Councillor Jackson, seconded by Councillor Vital. Discussion. Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor? And that carries unanimously. Next item of business, Corporate Officer.
Next item of business is business arising from the minutes.
Is there any business arising from the minutes? Seeing none, next item of business.
The next item of business is the consent agenda.
I have a motion to accept the consent agenda, moved by Councillor Jackson, seconded by Councillor Schweinbanz. Discussion on that. Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor, and that carries unanimously. Next item of business, please.
The next item of business is delegations and petitions, and this evening we have Superintendent Davey Lee from the Upper Fraser Valley Regional District, or Regional Detachment, sorry, RCMP, to present the strategic plan.
Welcome. The floor is yours.
All right, thank you. Good evening, Your Worship, councilors, staff. All right, we're excited to present our strategic plan, which represents months of collaboration, careful planning, and thoughtful considerations of our community needs. This works. There we go. All right, the plan outlines the priorities, goals, objectives that the ICRCMP is committed to over the next 3 years. We'll be revisiting the plan as needed to ensure that it's responsive to the current pressures and opportunities that affect the RCMP and the communities we serve. In 2023, the UFERD, the Upper Fraser Valley Regional Detachment, initiated an extensive strategic planning process incorporating the input from local governments, Indigenous community leaders, community partners, citizens, and RCMP employees. The focus was on policing initiatives, public safety concerns, priorities, and collaborative efforts to enhance public safety. We gathered feedback throughout the online surveys, community meetings, interviews with community partners, and focus group discussions. We then compiled all these findings into a consultative report, which guided us through our full-day workshop to create the framework for the new strategic plan. Team identified 4 primary priorities to focus on over the next 3 years, along with a list of accompanying activities and key performance indicators to track our progress. To ensure the plan stays relevant and addresses critical public safety issues, we will continue to engage our communities throughout the year through participation in community events, meetings with civic leaders and community partners, and communicating through media platforms. Our mission, visions, and core values. We are committed to our core values in this plan, serve as a promise to our members, employees, and community that our initiatives are centered around our mission and vision. To preserve the peace, uphold the law, and provide quality of service in partnership with our communities. There are 4 strategic priorities in our strategic plan. They are community safety, strong partnerships, enhanced communication, and support people in organizational excellence. So what we heard from our community, residents prioritize police presence with officer visibility and quick response times, boosting their sense of safety. Key concerns include crime prevention, property crime, drug offenses, traffic and speeding. In strategic actions, we are going to be focused on increasing police visibility, enhance visibility by increasing targeted enforcement, visibility patrols, and continuing presence at community events across the region. We're committed to high-quality investigations and continue to consult with and engage our Crown Council, ensure thorough documentation is in place through the implementation of unit-level quality assurance reviews. Crime prevention. Continue target and proactive enforcement based on analysis of criminal intelligence. Continue to develop partnerships with local community, Indigenous organizations to increase the number of restorative justice referrals. And continue to advance initiatives to build public awareness about everyone's role in building a safer community. Now, our key indicators for this priority is to continue to work with the province to ensure a robust seasonal plan. This is specific to Harrison here. During the peak tourist season, July and August, there were 34 dedicated seasonal shifts in addition to the regular patrols and boat patrols on Harrison Lake. Continue to enhance roadblocks and enforce speeding regulations in school zones and other high priority areas. Organize Coffee the Cop event to foster community engagement. Engage with the Crown Council by inviting them to participate in our training sessions and meetings, and continue to support crime prevention education through programs such as Block Watch. In strong partnerships, we heard enhance employee knowledge of Indigenous cultures and protocols, ensuring regular communication with Indigenous peoples, and develop a priority partnership plan to proactively address crime trends, and increase positive interaction with youth, schools, and maintain participation in youth events. Our strategic action regards to this priority will be to advance reconciliation with Indigenous communities. So advance our reconciliation with persons through relationship building, education, and partnerships while respecting the principles of the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. Continue to enhance Indigenous culture, awareness, and knowledge of protocols through training and participation in cultural events. Increase communication and work collaboratively to address key issues affecting Indigenous people. Strengthening partnership with local businesses. Work directly with business owners to identify and implement crime prevention strategies tailored to address emerging crime trends. And of course, connecting with our youth. Enhance police presence in schools through regular visits, education talks, and targeted enforcement initiatives. Ongoing key performance indicators for us will be offered ongoing opportunities for members to participate in cultural awareness training. The NCOIC will, that's Andy over here, will meet with business community leaders quarterly to address concerns and increase presence in schools by 10% through visits and education talks. Enhanced communication as the next priority. So what we heard is regular and consistent communication is vital for public engagement. Raising crime prevention awareness, sharing police initiatives, promoting positive news, enhancing community safety. Timely communication during rapid unfolding events is essential to keeping community informed and providing a sense of security. External communications, develop a communication strategy to guide detachment reporting and information sharing supported by a media relation officer. And internal communications, we're committed to ongoing engagement with our employees through surveys, increased communication within units, biannual town hall meetings, weekly meetings, and direct reports. Monthly State of the Unions and updates for myself, the officer in charge. And of course, we're always looking to promote career opportunities within the RCMP, continue to support division and national recruiting initiatives. Our key performance indicators in this priority will be to continue to engage proactive and timely communication through X, formerly Twitter, ensure community familiarity with new members, continue to meet with local businesses and other community groups, and continue to support national and division recruiting initiatives by engaging with the recruiting section to advise of local recruiting opportunities at events and continue to support the applicant ride-on program. Just of note, I think IXC is slated to receive 3 new cadets coming from Regina in the next 3 months, I think. So I think one's already here, one's arriving this week, and I think one's more coming in January. All right. Supporting our people. These strategic actions reflect the Upper Fraser Valley's Regional Detachment's commitment to efficient and effective operations while meeting community standards. Our CMP personnel are essential to achieving these standards, and we have a duty to support, equip, and develop their skills to promote organization excellence. Objectives for the strategic priority are based on internal feedbacks. And our key performance, and these are some of the strategic actions we'll be focusing on, are consistent leadership, meaningful employee recognition. Our key performance indicators remain committed to ensuring that all employees, both officers and civilians, collaborate with their supervisors to maintain their skills and pursue career development goals within operational limitations. Support the employee at all stages of their career. Provide training, professional development, and equipment to enhance job performance and a positive workplace culture. Promote formal and informal recognition tools and initiatives to recognize employees' contributions. Support the work of the Diversity Inclusion Committee to foster an inclusive culture. Develop, implement initiatives that support the physical and mental health and wellness and resiliency of our employees, identified through our health and safety committees. And pursue processes and initiatives supported by the Continuous Improvement Committee. And finally, our accountability. This dynamic plan serves as a roadmap for our future. Each objective has designated team members responsible for quarterly updates on progress, challenges, and lessons learned. Ongoing public engagement ensures the plan stays relevant and addresses key public safety issues. We will maintain strong connections with our communities through events such as meetings with civic leaders, community partners, and informal gatherings. The Upper Fraser Valley Regional Attachment is dedicated to working with the community and our partners to enhance safety and quality of life in our communities. Thank you. I know I breezed through that pretty quick, so
Thank you, Superintendent Lee. Are there any questions for Superintendent Lee? Councillor Schweinbenz?
Oh, there we go. I think we're very privileged to have you here. Thank you. That was a very sincere presentation. You guys are heroes to us. Nobody wants to see a come into our community, but we're really glad you're here when there's a problem. I own a store just down the road, and every day on a Saturday night or Friday night, some of your members come in. They're quite often borrowed, I think, from Chilliwack and Surrey, and they're super friendly. And just having you guys along the beach, I think, just brings a sense of calm and safety to everything. So we appreciate that.
thank you.
Question though, we have a couple of problem areas, streets within our community, and I think we're working together as a village and as a department to solve this, but are there any other suggestions you might have? There's a couple of households that are causing some trouble. I'm particularly concerned about the kids that reside in these homes. And I've been getting phone calls the last 3 weekends about the party on Pine, and it's causing a lot of problems. So hopefully we together can work on these issues. But if you have any other suggestions, perhaps for Andy, Constable Andy, I'm not sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
you.
That's why I brought Andy along with me. He knows all the answers.
As I've discussed with Mr. Cottier, we're going to be having a meeting hopefully on Friday regarding our issues on Pine. I'm aware of those. We've had police attend there, but it's an ongoing issue. So at this meeting that I hope to have on Friday, we can together come up with a resolution which will result in police having a positive result for that issue on Pine. I'm aware of that, and that's something that we're going to work on Friday. We were just discussing that actually right before the meeting.
Councillor Fascio.
Thank you, Mayor Tallon. Thank you again, Superintendent Lee, much appreciated. As always, I'm always encouraged about our RCMP, and I'd like to thank Andy over the months he's been on at the helm there in Agassiz. Has been extremely helpful and very approachable to concerns I've brought forward either for myself or from public people. I'm encouraged to see under your indicators here that you are going to communicate with the local businesses. I think it's a great thing, and of course, personally, I think one of the best things you have on here is to communicate with the public and have these type of maybe open houses, maybe once or twice a year, where you can communicate with the public and just let them know. They have to realize, the public at large, that we do not have a policeman in every corner in Harrison Hot Springs. I know we're only 3 square miles, but it's just not, it's a small detachment that has to cover a very large area, geographic areas. We've told the ministry in Victoria many times. So we really appreciate what you do for us, and thank you for your presentation this evening.
Thank you.
Councillor Vital.
Thank you, Mayor Tallon. Through you to Superintendent, thank you for your presentation. I did make note that one of the core goals is visibility. And I want to commend you and Sergeant Lott on our seasonal policing. I get responses from our visitors and from our residents all the time, how much they appreciate having the visibility of members down on the beachfront during our busy weekends. And I hope that you will advocate that that continue. I understand it, probably has to do with staffing and with budgeting, but if you could put in a good word for us, certainly would appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Jackson?
Oh, there we go. Earlier this year in June, the three of us on council had the opportunity to come to RCMP and have a meeting with you and many of your staff. I found that to be really elucidating, and I would hope sometime in the future again with our two new people on council that we may be able to do that again, because of the real refreshing, and we all realize how difficult the job you have, and much more difficult today than it was yesterday. So I just want to thank you again and hope to see you in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Jackson. Thank you, Superintendent Lee. I had opportunity Friday night to see the RCMP with a roadside check stop. It was thorough, it was efficient, and the officers conducted themselves in a really professional manner. So really appreciate the seasonal roadside checks, and yeah, we look forward to seeing you again. Thank you.
Thank you. There's just one thing, a couple of quick things. So since I'm here, as I mentioned before, there's 3 new cadets coming. There's actually quite a bit of a turnover rate for the IGC office over the next course of a few months. Unfortunately, but due to the members' career paths, a number of them have been promoted out of the IGC office. So that being said, there's 3 new cadets coming in, and I believe there's 2 more other members coming into into IGC as well. One being out of Langley, and one's coming out of Surrey. So in the course of the next few months, I said there's going to be a more of a turnover rate. However, the good thing about the 3 cadets is that then we lock them down for about 3 years. They don't get to go anywhere because they'll be here for a while, right? So that's a good thing. The other thing I do want to throw on the table as well for you, anytime you guys are interested in the ride-along program, please call the office. The office will take you out for a shift. So you have to see firsthand what the officers are doing on a day-by-day basis. So yeah, so whether you want to pick up on a Friday night shift or a Saturday night shift, or go for a walk on the beach on the summer holiday. So yeah, be nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I wonder if that microphone could be turned off to reduce the echo. Thank you, Councillor Schweinbans. The next item of business, please.
There's no correspondence this evening, so moving on to reports of councillors, committees, committee of the whole, and commissions.
Reports from councillors. Councillor Fascio.
Thank you, Mayor Tallon. Through you, if I may first, can everybody, I've been told sometimes they cannot hear me. Can everybody hear me? Coming through? Thank you. Thank you. On Friday, this past Friday the 15th, I attended the 75-year anniversary of the Harrison Elementary School. There was a very large gathering there of families and teachers I hadn't seen for a number of years, and some friends, and I congratulate them on behalf of Mayor Tallon and Council for the 75 years of service to our community, and it's been a great teaching school for our students over the years, and hopefully it's about time they got a new school, but that's something else to discuss. This Friday between 3 and 5 p.m. a councillor by the name of Leo Fascio will be ringing the bell outside the Black Forest restaurant between 3 and 5 p.m. So please come along and throw a bit of money in the pot, because this year all the monies collected are going directly to the Community Services Food Bank. It's not being dealt with by the Salvation Army anymore. It's totally, all monies will stay in the community. So that's great. And also the Red Apple in Agassiz will be having folks right through the December. Just as a suggestion through you, Mayor Talon, to our staff, is there a possibility of maybe either at the location one and at the plaza of having some indicator that the Starlight skating rink is available? It's a lovely looking complex now, it's much larger, and I know there's only certain days that the concession is open for rental skates, but it's open if you have your own skates. I'm just wondering, I want to get into a discussion tonight through you to our staff if they can come up with some idea of indicating that it's open and so people can use it at their leisure or go on the nights that the people there operating the concession and the skates. At the Fraser Valley Regional District last Thursday, there was discussion on the North Fraser Transit Service feasibility study. This is the proposal for a transit service north of the Fraser River between District of Kent, Agassiz, and the City of Mission along Highway 7. Has been under review for several years. The idea of establishing transit service between these two communities was identified as a priority both in 2012 and 2013. So that's moving along. Hopefully it may be in place for next year. They're looking at different scenarios of 2 round trips, 4 round trips, 6 round trips. The local share, and when I say local, it doesn't mean just Harrison. This transit system is shared between, I think, 5 locales. Is for a 2 round trip, these are approximate. And depending on the size of the bus that they use, for a 2 round trip would be about 129,000, 4 round trip 189,000, and a 6 round trip about 250,000. Of course, that's shared between all the parties. So that's ongoing. The Regional Solid Waste Management Initiative is looking at ways to improve this. Study revealed many key barriers impacting waste diversion efforts in condos and apartment buildings within the FVRD, and that includes ours. Barriers unique to these multi-family residential buildings for implementing 3-stream source separation include constraints like limited space for waste collection and perceived higher associated costs. So they're still working on that. And the 218 to 224, the initiative has accomplished the following within the region of saving food. And I'll be coming that to the next one, which is called Food Mesh. It's a program that was started in 2018, I believe. And this is a group that got involved with the regional district. And the idea is to approach businesses, restaurants, hotels, mostly, of course, supermarkets. 46% of food is wasted in Canada. 1 in 4 Canadians are food insecure. 8.10% of global greenhouse gas emissions are due to food loss and waste. Untapped food recovery opportunities. Avoidable is 41%, and of surplus food rescued is only 3.33%. The awareness of waste sorting bylaw, there is a bylaw that was implemented in 2020. Just over half of residents are aware of the waste sorting bylaw, sorting out your waste from your recyclables and your food. Unaware of the bylaw is 44%. Aware of the bylaw is 56%. So there are restrictions out there. And the last piece of this, and I will leave this information with our staff, it's very important. And the measuring impact in 2019, there was organization in the network was 61. In 2024 now, there is 99,000. In 2019, there was 219 cubic meters of food saved. In 2024, food diverted, per kilogram was 4.4 million. The equivalent in meals created was 165,288. So it's quite a program. I think doing a wonderful job, and they will continue to get information out. I've asked them to come and speak to I will ask our staff to deal with this, to speak to information to the Chamber of Commerce, come and do a presentation. And also, I think some of this information, which I will hand to our staff, that should go on our website as well. And I've also asked that at some point, probably be in the new year now, that they come and speak to council as a delegation. That's the end of my report. Thank you, Mayor Talon.
Thank you, Councillor Pacho. Councillor Vital.
Thank you, Mayor Talon. November 6th, I attended a Citizens Advisory Committee meeting at Mountain Institution. Current inmate count is 298. Unfortunately, one of the living units is experiencing some sewage problems. So they've had to move inmates from that living unit over into another one temporarily. It was good to see that the elders attended our meeting. They had a request that the institution build a woodshed for them. Up till now, they've just, the wood that they use for ceremonial purposes has been left out, and it's wet. So the institution has agreed that they will construct or get a woodshed constructed. I also, committee also got invited to an upcoming training event, which my schedule permitting, I hope to attend, and it will be watching the staff there doing drone interception for drone drop. So hopefully I'll be able to attend, and certainly looking forward to that. And later on in December, I will be attending at the invitation, our committee will be attending at the invitation of the Indigenous Wellness Committee, changing of the season ceremony later in December. On November 8th, I attended our Committee of the Whole Council meeting. And on November 13th, I attended the Let's Mott community to community meeting, and included in the agenda at this meeting, once again, was the draft of the Modi traffic management plan for East Fraser Valley Highway 1 incident detour plan. It is still in draft form, and we all know that provincial ministries can tend to move slow at times, but I do think that it's close to being finally adopted. When it is, I'll happily share it with the rest of council. And that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Vital. Councillor Jackson.
Thank you, Worship. I attended the committee of the whole on 8th of November. I went to the public school 75th anniversary. I was very impressed of what I saw. What was so nice to see all the rambunctious young children running around. I didn't know quite what to do, but it was a lot of fun, and they had a lot of fun, and I tip my hat to them for doing what they do in such a cramped space. We need a new school. As Councillor Vasho remember, back in 2006, 2007, we came close. Our close is okay in hand grenades and horseshoes anyway. And then, of course, I attended I know this didn't count, so the Gordon Lightfoot concert here. It was magnificent. Hope they return. Thank you, Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Jackson. Councillor Schweinbenz.
Thank you. I'll be brief. I don't have a lot to report. On the October 14th, I attended the Futures, North Fraser Futures meeting for my first time and was able to introduce myself and speak to some of the things that they've done for Harrison that has helped us as a community, including the Lights in the Lake, which they helped with some seed money a few years ago, and a few other private businesses as well. On the 13th of November, I attended my first meeting again with the Harrison Agassiz Historical Society. I'm a big historical buff, so I was happy to be there. If anybody hasn't been to the museum before, it's pretty fascinating. They've got lots of archives and articles and trinkets, and anywhere from old leather boots from the flood of 1948 to Combine. Like, it's just an amazing place, and a very impressive huge beech tree in the middle of the front lawn. I don't know if everybody's ever noticed that. They're always looking for volunteers. They'd love to see some more people from Harrison help out. They're working right now on electrifying their caboose, which would be pretty interesting. It's a historic caboose. And they're also refurbishing their speedster. And I didn't know what a speedster was, but it's one of those things that the workers used to pump and it would propel them along the track. So they're looking for donations to try and improve, to try to refurbish that. Last week on the 11th, I met with a fellow named Kyle Wang. He is the senior forestry technician for BCTS. Wanted to get a sense of what kind of information they could give us with regards to the forestry practices and forestry plans that they have for the next 5 years. He couldn't tell a lot because of the state of the government after the election. He was a little bit guarded, but very open to working with us. I've learned that they only control about 20% of the annual allowable cut in this area, in fact, in the entire province. And he directed me to the Chilliwack Forest District, a couple of people there. So I've been in touch with a fellow named Mike Pearson and his senior technician, Miss Benally. And they have a new system called FORM, F-O-R-M, and I'm hoping to get some support from staff to help me navigate this process. They just launched it in April. So they are aware of their forestry's role in climate change and in the burden of carbon into the atmosphere, and of course, something topical for tonight, the increasing potential for wildfires. So they're aware of that. Things are happening slowly. They said that very few municipalities have, in fact, intervened and commented on some of their plans. So I'm hoping that in the future we can, as a council and as a staff, intervene and try to make things a little bit better in the forestry industry. I'm not looking forward to taking away jobs. That's not the intent, but to make things so that it's more sustainable. My son and I hiked up at a place called Devil's Lake, which is near Stave River Falls, not far from here, and they had a small demonstration forest which showed more modern forestry practices. And it was interesting. They had lots of big mature trees within 4 or 5 meters of each other. So they were able to still sort of maintain the ecosystem and yet take out some valuable timber. So maybe there's a compromise we can make. The other thing that's been happening the last couple of weeks is, and I mentioned it to the fine officers that were here, is the Party on Pine that's been happening every Friday and Saturday night. So I've been in touch with CAO about that, and And some of the residents, I've got some friends that live at the Harrison Breeze, and they're getting affected by it a lot. And never mind the noise, I'm particularly concerned about the children that live in these two homes that are having some trouble. So hopefully we can, as a council, try to help them out in whatever way we can. Oh, and Councillor Fascio mentioned the Copper Kettle program. Local realtor Freddie Marks has been in touch with me. Maybe I would encourage us all to take a couple shifts. I think it'd be a lot of fun to collect some money for that program that Councillor Fascio mentioned. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Swinebans. Next item of business is my report. On November 7th, I met with the owner of the Harrison Resort. This is in follow-up to the events that happened at the pools created by members of the public near the source of the hot springs. We had a good conversation. CAO Cook joined me at this meeting, as did the general manager of the resort. We had a fairly candid conversation about what kind of opportunities there might be in the future to enhance the visitors and residents' experience using the hot springs. We talked candidly about the state of repair and the age of the public hot springs pool on Esplanade, and conversations are starting, which is good. The owner asked about the Stahelis, if I had spoken with them, and I said I have an introductory meeting scheduled. I believe it's next week, and no doubt this topic will come up in there. The owner, Mr. Zhang, seemed very open to working with the Stahelis and the village to see where we get. Early days, but at least conversations are positive, trying to look forward. We, at that meeting, also knew that the province was intending to conduct an investigation into what happened, and certainly I think I spoke that we welcome the province to investigate the matter and investigate the whole matter, including the construction of the original pools and the materials used, and a number of other factors. So Mr. Zhang also welcomed, my takeaway was that he welcomed the province looking into this as well. On November 8th, Committee of the Whole meeting on the Community Wildfire Resiliency Plan, very informative meeting for myself. November 11th, I attended the Remembrance Day ceremonies in Agassiz at the Cenotaph and laid a wreath there on behalf of the village of Harrison Hot Springs. On November 12th, I attended a Chamber of Commerce for Agassiz Harrison annual general meeting at the Fraser River Lodge. It was a nice evening. I got to spend some time with our MP, Brad Vies, his new community liaison person, Mike, and we spoke at some length. So that was a good opportunity to sort of, talk about Harrison Hot Springs and get a sense from him where our MP might be coming from. On November 13th, the Provincial Inspector for Natural Resources was in Harrison Hot Springs, and I met with him talking about, he was interviewing myself and the general manager for the resort about what happened at the hot springs and taking a file and conducting his investigations. So participated fully and freely with that, and my takeaway was the inspector was going to go look at the site, do some more research, and presumably a report is forthcoming. However, these reports, I'm led to believe, when I asked when will it be ready, suggested probably 2-3 months, maybe as long as 6 months, but don't count on it before Christmas was the message I had. On November 13th, I attended the Letsamont community government meeting on the Sham Reserve with Councillor Vital. Again, nice opportunity to meet some of our partner governments in the area. Our MP was also there, got a chance to speak with Mr. Vies as well. And lastly, on Friday night, November 15th, I was at the Fraser Valley Health Foundation Gala in Abbotsford. They were raising money as part of their ongoing efforts to raise money for equipment in health facilities in the Fraser Valley. Councillor Vital was there with our spouses. It was an enjoyable evening. Got an opportunity to meet several of the key players from the Fraser Valley Health Board and that work in the area and make some connections that way. So that was a nice evening. And then, of course, got the check stop on the way home and got to see firsthand our RCMP in action. And that's my report. Next item.
Moving on to reports from staff. Item A is report of Chief Administrative Officer dated November 18th, 2024 regarding release of closed meeting resolutions.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. Releasing closed meeting minutes for, resolutions from a closed meeting that was held on September 4th, 2024. In 2019, Fraser Health advised Village Council that they were prepared to support and initiate a primary health care services in Harrison Hot Springs for locals and seasonal residents, providing a nurse practitioner to deliver health services on a weekly basis, subject to the village covering the lease, cost of the lease and utilities. Village staff initiated an alternative approval process to gauge community interest in operating a primary care unit, which was ultimately failed due to community intervention. In August of 2024, representatives from the village and the Fraser Valley Health Authority, Fraser Health Authority, re-engaged the negotiations to discuss whether there was still an opportunity to provide health services to Harrison residents in Harrison. Fraser Health indicated they were still very interested in providing primary care services in Harrison. It was noted that a commercial space was available in the heart of Harrison with Unit 102, 160 Lillooet Avenue available for lease. Village Council directed staff to engage Fraser Health staff to confirm whether Fraser Health had the capacity to provide a nurse practitioner to the village for up to 1 day per week with the possibility to add a second day in the future. In addition, staff were directed to establish a lease for the commercial unit and determine the cost to renovate the unit to establish 4 offices. Staff engaged Kurtz Construction to provide a rough cost estimate to turn the units into 4 separate office spaces in order to ascertain the cost of the making of the space functional before proceeding with the lease. It is estimated that renovations will cost approximately $150,000, which will be funded by surplus. Staff also engaged other community partners to advise them of the potential sublease opportunities to provide other services to Harrison residents. Those discussions are ongoing. At the time of writing this report, Fraser Health had committed to providing primary care services 1 day per week with the potential to increase to 2 days per week in the future. The lease has been established and the renovation drawings are being prepared by an architect for a 4-office primary care unit. Tender drawings for the renovations are expected to be issued in the coming weeks. The financial considerations: the village has entered into a 4-year lease with the unit owner of the cost of approximately $3,000 per month. As the cost of the renovating will be over $50,000, a request for proposals for the work will be issued in accordance with the village's purchasing and procurement bylaw 1.08. Renovations for the primary care unit will be funded by surplus at a value of up to $150,000. Recommendation in front of council is that the following closed meeting resolutions from September 4th, 2024, special closed meeting, be received for information at the November 4th, 2024 regular council meeting. That staff be directed to seek a written agreement from Fraser Health outlining their commitment to providing primary care services in the village, and that staff be directed to seek a lease agreement for available unit at 160 Lillooet Avenue for a term of 3 or 4 years with the option to purchase at a later date, to be funded by taxation, subject to the Fraser Health providing a written commitment, and that staff be directed to move forward with the 4-office renovation plan provided by Kurtz Construction to be funded by surplus, subject to the agreement with Fraser Health and the property owner. Just want to speak to the date that was referred to in the recommendation. That should have read November 18th, not November 4th. Thank you.
Move the recommendation, Mayor Talon.
Moved by Councillor Fascio, seconded by Councillor Schweinbenz. It's a very interesting proposal. I think, Councillor Fascio, you've had your shoulder on this, pushing this with your contacts on the Fraser Health Board, and yeah, hats off to you for keeping the interest alive over the last while, and Councillors Vital and Jackson as well for participating in that. Discussion on the motion. Councillor Schweinbenz.
Thank you. I wasn't part of this. Kudos to the other three councillors for pushing this for the village. I think it's going to be a great benefit to the village. And it was one of the campaign pillars that I ran on, that is to make things healthier and safer and more secure for residents of Harrison Hot Springs. I'm come from the medical world, but I don't really know what a nurse practitioner was. But I looked it up, and very excited to see what it is. And if I may, Mayor Talon, just take a couple minutes to address the council and what this really means for what I think it could mean for the community. So a nurse practitioner addresses needs relating to a person's physical and mental health. They gather medical history. They focus on an illness's effects on a person's life and their family's life. They offer ways for people to lead a healthier lifestyle. They teach a person how to manage chronic illness. The benefits include involving patients in their decisions about care. This is something that when we go to a doctor, we don't really feel heard sometimes. It improves access to health care. And I think a lot of us struggle. There's a lot of barriers to health care. So I think this could be a real gate opening opportunity for us. It reduces pressure on our healthcare system. And I think this is the model that the province is going after, putting things back into the community. The ER model is not working. If anybody's gone to the ER lately, you know you're in for a long wait unless you have signs of a heart attack. And it helps manage chronic disease. In a nutshell, a nurse practitioner focuses on holistic and preventative care. And I think that's the crux of it. I'm very excited about that. This is just an aside. I'm a big fan of a Netflix series called The Blue Zones. It's called How to Live to 100. I don't know if everybody's ever watched that. But there's no reason why Harrison Hot Springs couldn't be a blue zone. We have all of the wonderful environment around us, the fresh air, fresh water. We have community gardens, we have walkways, and now we're going to have a nurse practitioner at least once a week to help guide us. And I'm really pumped about this. I congratulate the previous staff, council and staff for pushing this through. I think it's very exciting for the community. I know that this is just the thin edge of the wedge, because I think the other 4 days may be filled up with a holistic naturopath or a chiropractor or another allied health person who can make us a healthier community. So I'm fully supportive of this, and congratulations to you, the three of you and staff for getting this done. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Schweinbenz. Councillor Pacho.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a brief comment that besides the nurse practitioner, there were discussions with Fraser Health. At times, there could be the actual doctor as well that would be present at the primary care center as well. And I really believe this will build up as time goes on. It's something that we've tried for many, many years. We got pretty close to it. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. But this time, I think Council did a wise thing by moving forward with securing the only available space in the community, a very central location. And I just hope that, and I'm sure it's going to build up to something that Harrison residents and visitors are going to be grateful for as the years move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Pacho. Further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. On the motion, all in favor? And that carries unanimously. Next item of business,
The next item is item 12B, Report of Community Services Manager regarding curbside collection contract award.
Community Services Manager.
Thank you, Mayor Tallon. The village's current residential curbside waste collection services contract expires at the end of 2024, and a new contract was needed for curbside collection services beginning in January of 2025. The village has contracted with GFL Environmental Inc. for curbside collection services since 2011, originally under their previous business name, First Class Waste Services. In September 2024, village staff conducted a survey on the engagement platform Get Into It Harrison to gain feedback on the current curbside collection service. A request for proposals was issued on BC Bid on September 6, 2024, with a closing date of September 23, 2024. 2 proposals were received, one from GFL Environmental Inc. and one from Valley Waste and Recycling Inc. According to Purchasing and Procurement Policy number 1.08, staff have awarded the contract to GFL Environmental Inc. After receiving input from residents, staff will be conducting a full review of the Waste Collection and Disposal Bylaw number 1172/2022 and bringing it forward to council at an upcoming meeting with any proposed changes, as well as the updated Schedule A of annual fees for 2025 to 2027. Curbside collection services are conducted as a cost recovery service, with residences being billed in July of each year for the annual service. The decision to continue with GFL instead of changing to a different service provider was based on the lowest financial impact for residents. The recommendation is that the Community Services Manager's report dated November 18th, 2024 be received for information.
Moved by Councillor Vital, seconded by Councillor Jackson. Discussion. Councillor Schweinbenz.
I must admit, I live in an area on Emerson Cove where our garbage is collected every Tuesday, and it's still done by hand. So I'm not that familiar with the kind of services that are provided to the village. Has anything changed with this contract at all? With bin sizes, frequency, anything?
Community Service Manager.
Thank you, Mayor Tallon. Through you to Councillor Schweinbenz. We are still finalizing the final details, but we don't anticipate there being any changes to the current model, as that has seemed to be working well for residents.
Thank you. Further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the vote on the motion. All in favor? And that carries unanimously. Next item of business, Corporate Officer.
The next item is Report of Community Services Manager regarding the 2024 Community Wildfire Resiliency Plan.
Community Services Manager.
Thank you, Mayor Tallon. In early 2024, village staff received a FireSmart grant through the province's Community Resiliency Investment Fund, administered by UBCM. One of the key outcomes from the grant project was to be the creation of an updated CWRP to replace the village's previous Community Wildfire Protection Plan. Other grant deliverables have included engine boss and wildland firefighter training, the beginning phase of a structure protection unit trailer, a local FireSmart representative contractor position, homeowner rebates, and more. BA Blackwell & Associates completed their fieldwork for the Community Wildfire Resiliency Plan in June of 2024 and gathered community information from village administrative staff, Fire Chief Curtis Genest, the village's local FireSmart representative contractor, Kent Harrison Joint Emergency Program Coordinator, and the Fraser Valley Regional District's FireSmart Coordinator. The CWRP was reviewed by local BC Wildfire Services staff. At the October 21st regular council meeting, Deborah Zemanek of BA Blackwell & Associates presented the Community Wildfire Resiliency Plan to council. The CWRP was then added to the agenda for a Committee of the Whole discussion at the November 8th, 2024 special council meeting. CWRPs are the evolved version of CWPPs, which were first introduced in BC in 2004. BC Wildfire Service partnered with the BC FireSmart Committee to develop the framework for community wildfire resiliency planning. From the Community Wildfire Resiliency Plan Instruction Guide, the following are key provincial goals for the Community Wildfire Resiliency Planning process. Increase communities' capacity and understanding of wildfire risk, foster greater collaboration across administrative boundaries, be more responsive to the needs of different types of communities throughout BC in terms of their size, capacity, and the threats they face, and develop achievable and accountable action items. BA Blackwell and Associates are in the process of completing a CWRP for Stehalis and will be completing a CWRP update for the District of Kent and a CWRP for Seabird Island in 2025. It was discussed at the Letsamot Community to Community Forum meeting that once all of the neighboring communities have completed their CWRPs, it would be beneficial for a group discussion to ensure collaboration across administrative boundaries, one of the provincial goals for the planning process. There are no financial considerations currently associated with this report, although implementation of the recommendations will have financial components that will need to be funded either through grant opportunities or internally as part of future financial plans. There are a few recommendations before Council after the discussions at the Committee of the Whole. Would you like to take those one by one for discussion? Or I can read them all at once.
Let's read them all at once, and we'll just see if we can tackle them all together.
Thank you, Mayor Tallon. That the 2024 Community Wildfire Resiliency Plan be adopted with the following amendments. Decreasing the priority level of recommendation number 18 from moderate to low, and increasing the priority level of recommendation number 19 from moderate to high, and updating recommendation number 25. It currently reads maintain fire department training, to read fire department training and resources, and include in the recommendation to continue working towards the completion of a structure protection unit trailer and ensuring that fire department resources are reviewed regularly.
Move the recommendation, Mayor Tallon.
Moved by Councillor Fascio, seconded by Councillor Schmeibenz. Discussion. Councillor Vital.
Thank you, Mayor Tallon. For those in the gallery and those who are watching via Zoom, recommendation number 18 is in relation to the second evacuation route. And the request here is to make amendment to decrease the priority level from moderate to low. I'm not in favor of decreasing the priority level from moderate to low. The proposed route provides a viable alternative if our primary route is blocked or impassable, and it helps to minimize the risk of residents being trapped in an emergency. Different emergencies may impact areas in different ways. A secondary route can provide a level of flexibility in responding to emergencies. Knowing there is the possibility of a secondary egress route reassures our residents, visitors, and businesses, and fosters trust in our emergency planning processes. The priority level should remain as moderate, so I will not be voting in favor of that amendment. The third recommendation, number 25, is to maintain fire department training. The priority in the report is listed as moderate, and I have absolutely no difficulty with ensuring that there is our fire department members stay up to date on wildfire interface training. However, the amendment requested to include to continue working towards completion of a structure protection unit trailer and ensuring that fire department resources are reviewed regularly. Everyone on this council table fully supports our fire department, me included. However, I believe that amendment request would best be addressed during our budget process rather than including it in the resiliency plan. And certainly our fire department, when we come to budget, can certainly request that and put that on the wish list. However, I will not be voting in favor of the requested amendment for number 25. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Vital. I guess maybe we'll take this one bit at a time. If I understood you correctly, you wanted to maintain the priority ranking of item 18, the secondary egress route, at moderate, and modify the motion so it would not include changing that from moderate to low. Is that what you're moving? Is there a seconder to that motion to modify the motion? If I understood correctly, Councillor Vidal is motioning to amend the motion so that the secondary egress route on item 18, action item 18, remains moderate and is not modified to low. That's the motion. Seconded by Councillor Fascio. Discussion on that motion. Councillor Schweinmans.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, to council. I'm new to this issue. I've been following it for years and years. When my kids were younger, we used to mountain bike down this trail that they would like to improve. We'd mountain bike down to Ruby Creek. And I don't see the proposed evacuation route, and I don't like to call it an evacuation route because I don't think it's viable. If they can spend the millions of dollars to improve that 2.1 kilometers up around Deer Lake, they still have an issue of trying to get Honda Civics and minivans up Rockwell Drive, which is unsafe in the best of conditions, through the improved trail, and then down a forestry road, which is very steep with 14% gradients and loose gravel, down towards Ruby Creek in the middle of nowhere. I'm not sure why we would do that. I'm concerned. This study that the consultant did has so many great recommendations, and I just feel that if we have discussion about a secondary route through that park, we're going to lose laser focus on what we need to focus on. When we questioned the consultant about the secondary route through the park, we all agreed that 2 is better than 1. We all agree that. She mentioned that it was kept through the park, through Sasquatch Park, because that's where the political will has been. There was no consideration on the practical aspects of it. And if I may say on the practical aspects of it, all of the reasons behind, the logic behind having this secondary egress route through the park is completely based on Rockwell Drive getting blocked so that people north of Rockwell Drive cannot get south through our village. So in all of those scenarios, Harrison residents are blocked from going north. The route is redundant. It doesn't serve us. It only serves to take focus off what we really need to focus on, and that is our main evacuation route make sure that we maintain it, that we put resources at it, and the other ideas of this study as well. One finds it very difficult to imagine why our main evacuation route would ever get blocked from us going south. And I would hate for there to be confusion whenever there's going to be an evacuation. And by the way, our village has not been evacuated since the Great Flood of 1948. Why we wouldn't be able to go south is beyond me. And I think that we are going to spend a lot of political capital, financial capital, and emotional capital in worrying about a route that does not serve us and that likely won't be able to happen. I say we control what we can control. We can control the other aspects of this study. Um, so I'm actually in favor of, I would like to move to remove number 18 from this report altogether and take it away from consideration so that we can focus on what we can focus on with this report. That would be my motion.
I think if I understand procedure correctly, we have to actually vote on the motion that's on the table right now, which is Councillor Vidal's amendment to have it changed from moderate, or from low, or to reject the recommendation and move it from moderate to low, but maintain it at moderate. So I think we have to deal with that motion first before we pursue a subsequent motion. Councillor Swineban's on whether item 18 is struck from the report.
Okay, may I add, sorry, Mayor, if I may add, are we still continuing discussion or?
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor Talon. Again, to council, like I mentioned, all the rationale about this route does not take into the consideration the evacuation of people from Harrison Hot Springs. This is not a route that people of Harrison Hot Springs with their Honda Accords and minivans are going to take. And I think it could make it more dangerous. I think it makes us less resilient. Also owing to the fact that this road in the application is, as it's being considered, will be used for other things as well, such as timber harvesting in areas that are very close to our village. And that in itself makes us less resilient. It makes it more potential for forest fires to be happening in our area. So this is why I'm in favor of taking it off of our report.
Thank you, Councillor Swinebands. Councillor Jackson.
Thank you. I'd just like to make one comment. We've been chasing rainbows here for over 20 years. And it could be another 20 years before we find a pot of gold at the end of it to do this. It doesn't matter whether it's moderate to low. It's probably never going to get approved. And if it does get approved sometime in the future, we have no idea what the operating cost is going to be to maintain the road and keep it going. So in a way, we really have to put our energy somewhere else to find another alternative to get, when we have a disaster, to get the people out of Harrison as quick as possible. It's been done before and we could do it again. I just think we're spending way much time on this. And for me, it doesn't matter whether moderate or low or high. It's really all just the same. Thank you, Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Jackson. Myself, I think the recommendation to change its ranking from moderate to low, I think it responds to the change in the wildfire risk. And it's just pragmatic. If the risk is lower, then our needs for evacuation are lower across the board. We should still have evacuation. 2 routes would be better than 1. But the wildfire risk, according to this report, is lower. And recognizing that capacity is always limited in time and resources on what we're going to advocate for, my preference would be to keep the recommendation as drafted, to modify this secondary egress road as a lower priority and focus on the higher ones. And not that it's not out there. I think Councillor Jackson spoke well about it could take many years. If it happens, great, as long as it's safe and the residents of Harrison Hot Springs can evacuate safely and efficiently. That's the bottom line. So I think we should just focus on what we should, and this doesn't have the same priority as before from the previous report because of the change, in my mind, on the risk of wildfire. Councillor Pacho.
Thank you, Mayor Talon. I can appreciate the comments from my fellow councillors regarding this, but we have been, still are in a partnership with the District of Kent on this whole situation, and they rely on us to support them on this, as they have supported us as well when we've been asked for letters of support when we've approached Victoria, and as recent as just 2 months ago, we met with the ministers there in response to maintaining Wiboma, maintaining the road. Like I said previously, it's better to have 2 ways out than 1 way out. There were costs associated with this originally. It's in a report from the Deputy Fire Chief, and I'm sure that Councillor Vidal has this in her binder somewhere, attending the meetings. I believe just to put the bridge back in place, they were looking at around about $800,000 and some $600,000 to do the 800 meters of road that needs to be gravelled, or whatever they're going to do with this. The whole crux behind this has been basically, and I say this with respect, many years ago, we had a very strong group of hikers that wanted everything from the Green Mountain, which is in the district of Kent, all the way to Sasquatch Park, dedicated as just hiking trails, and for nothing to happen to this, which I believe is a Class C park that goes through Sasquatch there for the emergency route. But I'm going to vote in favour because I say I've worked several years very hard on this. I agree with Councillor Jackson that is it going to happen? Well, I can't give an answer on that. We've just been continuously lobbying for this, and I don't think it's in the best interest of our community to just say we're going to pack it in and leave it to the District of Kent, our neighbours to the south. Thank you.
I'll call the question of short comment, Councillor Vance.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not proposing that we pull the plug on this. I understand that we politically stand shoulder to shoulder with the good people of District of Kent and the good people of Seabird Island. And just because we reduce this to low or take this away off the report, I don't think it's going to stop the train on this with the ministry. What we need to focus on, though, is the resiliency of our village. And somebody mentioned sense of security. It's a false sense of security to expect that our residents can go 21 miles on a rough road from here in an emergency when Rockwell's already blocked for some other reason. It's a false sense of security for them to be landing at Ruby Creek in the middle of the low-heat highway in the middle of nowhere. People have commented that what if there's a train accident, or what if there's an accident here or there? These scenarios are not only unlikely, but they still will not block our southern route. And I just feel that taking it off this report will make sure that we focus on what we can focus, do the high priority things. And if District of Kent and Seabird Island and us included are still going after this with the ministry, then so be it. But it doesn't need to be in this report. It doesn't need to be part of our strategy for the next 4 or 5 years in making our community more resilient, because it likely won't happen in the next 4 or 5 years. That's why it shouldn't be on this report. Also, the comment that it's about people trying to protect the park, that's partly it, but it's just also about public safety. If there's going to be a secondary route, that's not it. 2 is better than 1, but the second one should be going south as well. And the other thing is, with this alleged potential logging that's happening on Green Mountain and Bear Mountain, new science shows that the clear cuts that are happening make us more susceptible to wildfires. And if that's anywhere in the vicinity of our village, that makes us less resilient.
I'll call the vote on the motion.
May I have the motion read again, please, Mr. Mayor? Thank you.
Certainly. Corporate Officer, can you read the motion?
Thank you. So there was a mover and a seconder for the staff recommendation, and an amendment moved by Councillor Vidal, seconded by Councillor Facio. And it would be to strike the words decreasing the priority level of recommendation number 18 from moderate to low, because that would retain number 18 as moderate.
I'll call the vote. All in favor of the motion? 3 in favor, opposed, 2. The motion carries. So that'll be struck from the recommendation. Councillor Vital, you had a second motion, I think, in your comments regarding recommendation 25 to not include, I guess it would be striking the recommendation 25 because the recommendation in the motion was to add some extra words and you're opposed to those extra words. Is that correct?
Yes, just to not include that part in the amendment. As I stated, Mayor Talon, I believe that that is a budgetary concern that should be brought during budget time by the fire department. Thank you.
So that's a motion to not have recommendation 25 modified to include the words that are in the brackets there, or the parentheses. Is there a seconder to that motion? Councillor Fascio seconds it. Discussion on that motion. Councillor
Mayor Talon, thank you. I understand that this wording is important because, and perhaps Fire Chief can explain the needs of the trailer and the outfitting of the trailer that's required. I think it was just meant to clarify what we need to accomplish here in this. Perhaps Fire Chief or CAO can comment.
CAO, is there some information that can fill in for council?
Yeah, as far as I understand, is that the intent of the amendment was to add possible expenditures to the Fire Smart program. But I can defer that to Christy just to confirm.
Thank you. In the UBCM Fire Smart Community Resiliency Investment Program, they do allot a certain amount of funds each year that you are successful in obtaining the grant to go towards that equipment. So that was what the intended inclusion in there would be, just to highlight that as to that to be a continued portion of what staff would be applying for on the grant application. We were able to acquire a trailer with a starting point. Do you have anything else you'd like to add? I'll just let Fire Chief Jeunesse just add a little bit to what we're currently at for equipment and what we would be able to get to with the grant funds if successful.
Fire Chief?
Yes, thank you. So yeah, we do have the first phase of the structural protection trailer. There is 4 phases, so with the next approval of the grant, phase 2 would start next year. We do have some wildfire equipment from previous to the grant. I would like to actually comment on one of the recommendations in here saying that firefighters should have at least wildfire level 1. That we have an in-house, actually we have 2 in-house trainers for that course. So that is a mandatory course from BC Wildfire that all fire departments in BC have to accomplish every year. So that one is already on there. The other courses are based on the grant. And currently we have, out of the 24 members we have at the fire department, I believe there is 16 that are trained in the Engine Boss course, which is what we just took. So we could use the grant once it's approved for that. But the structural protection trailer is the big one that would go towards, obviously, the safety of the village first before we took that anywhere else. But the grant obviously has to be approved with that and then move forward for obviously the next 3 years to finish the full structure protection trailer and have it, I guess, have it fully capable to BC wildfire standards.
Thank you, Fire Chief. CAO Cook, it's my understanding that adopting the plan ultimately helps inform budget discussions down the road and other types of things, grant applications. So approving words in here doesn't automatically generate financial line items in our upcoming budget. Is that correct?
Thank you, Your Worship. That is correct. The first step is to get this plan adopted, which allows us to apply for grant funding. That was kind of the last box that I believe needed ticking for this year, so we can apply for next year. Because this plan is being adopted, staff is going to dedicate their efforts towards the high priority items, which could turn into budgetary items depending on what the talks with the fire department and ultimately council when we finalize our budget talks. But there's not an automatic impact to our budget.
Thank you, CEO. Further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'd like to call the vote on the motion. All in favor? The motion to, yes. Yeah, you're in favor? Okay, motion carries. I think, Councillor Vital, we dealt with your motions to the recommendation. Councillor Schweinbenz, I recall in your first statement you were considering a motion to strike item 18 in its entirety from the Community Wildfire Resiliency Plan. Is that still the case?
Thank you, Mayor Talon. I think that might be a waste of time. Given the way the vote went. For those listening, though, I still will maintain that we're many, many years away from this this potential road through the park, and we need to keep laser focused on what we can in the future, 4 or 5 years, to make sure we get all this stuff done. So I won't be making that motion. I think it'd be a waste of time, but I do have other comments. So whenever you're ready, thank you.
Is there any further discussion to the recommendation and the motion on the floor? Corporate Officer, could you read back to us what the final, after it's been amended twice, motion is?
Of course. So the final amended motion would be that the 2024 Community Wildfire Resiliency Plan be adopted with the following amendment: increasing the priority level of recommendation number 19 from moderate to high.
Any final discussion on that motion? Councillor Swinburne.
Thank you, Mayor Talon. Yeah, I'm in favor of this, and with some comments as well. I hike along the past the hotel once in a while at Sandy Cove, and it'd be great if we could see some signage at Sandy Cove saying, warning people about forest fires there. I think we've had some issues there from the fire department about fires being reported there, so it'd be great to see some signage there. As well as, and we discussed this last Thursday at our Committee of the Whole meeting, some kind of a large sign exiting our village, going up to the east side, up Rockwell, really warning people that they are entering, in the backcountry anyways, some high forest fire zones. So I'm not sure what ministry does that, if we're responsible for that, but that's why I like the fact that 19 is going from moderate to high. I think this signage could really help in certain areas.
Thank you, Councillor Swinburne. Any further discussion to the motion? Seeing none, call the vote. All in favor? And that carries unanimously. And our next order of business, please.
Moving on to item 13A, report.
Actually, sorry, are we still carrying on with the wildfire plan? We had an opportunity to bring in more items on this, I think. Sorry?
We called the question and it was voted. We just adopted the plan with the recommendation as modified.
So I'm sorry, I missed it. I couldn't hear you.
We just voted on adopting the community wildfire resiliency plan as presented with an amendment to increase the priority level of recommendation 19 from moderate to high.
But are there not more areas for discussion on this?
That was the discussion. Yeah, we've voted. We've adopted the plan.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I must have missed that in procedure. I thought I had asked a question earlier that we're going to have, I think you mentioned this when you introduced this study, that we're going to go things one by one and open up discussion for the study. Perhaps I misunderstood.
I think we just did all of those things, and I looked for further comments, and there was none, so I called the vote, and it passed. We adopted the plan with the recommendation to modify recommend 19 from moderate to high.
Mayor
Councilor
Talon,
Byler?
perhaps we could ask the corporate officer to give a understanding that once the question is called, there's no further discussion. Am I correct, corporate officer?
Corporate officer, I guess we're going to learn this in our retreat with Mr. Poole in a week and a half too, but please.
Thank you, Mayor Talon. Yeah, normally once the question has been called, there's no further debate on the motion. So the final vote there was for council to adopt the 2024 Wildfire Resiliency Plan with just that one amendment, increasing number 19 from moderate to high.
Sorry, Mayor Talon to corporate officer. At the time we were discussing 19, though, I thought there was opportunity to bring in other items. We didn't move to adopt. We'd moved to adopt it with those amendments, but I thought there was more amendments that we were able to discuss. And I thought when we introduced this topic, this general topic, it was under the understanding that we were going to go do these line by line, these 3 items, and then open up the discussion. That was my understanding. Perhaps I got the procedure wrong. I just have nothing controversial. I just have a couple of other comments that I'd like council to, or staff to be aware of.
Now that we've called the questions, vote has been adopted, there's nothing more we can do on this meeting. If there are matters that could be raised at a subsequent meeting. But we've concluded the matter for tonight. The next item of business, corporate officer.
Next item is number 13A, report from community service manager, and the recommendation is that, oh, sorry, the recommendation will be part of your report, I suppose. Thank you.
Community service manager.
Thank you. The recommendation will be that Park Regulation Amendment Bylaw number 1212-2024 be adopted. We brought a bit more background information on this as at the October 21st, 2024 regular council meeting. The bylaw was referred to staff to obtain input from Fire Chief Genest, who commented that the new covered structure is constructed of solid wood at Spring Park. Sorry, I didn't mention that in this portion. And there is bark mulch located at the playground, which can be a concern if people are not abiding by the bylaw. However, the SenseNet camera is now being operational, and the water supply from the nearby hose bib and fountain located on the washroom building alleviate concerns with respect to suppressing any fire that does start as a result of improper barbecue use in this area. He was in support of the bylaw, provided that bylaw enforcement incorporates patrols of Spring Park into their workday, particularly during the busy summer season. This will help ensure that patrons of the park are using barbecues of a permitted fuel type and size that fits on the pedestal, so that barbecues are not placed on picnic tables or the ground. Lastly, clear signage as to appropriate barbecue use will help reduce the risk. Accordingly, no changes have been made since this bylaw was given first 3 readings. So this is presented now for final reading and adoption.
Thank you, community
Move
service
the
manager.
recommendation, Mayor Talon.
Moved by Councillor Faccio, seconded by Councillor Vital. Discussion. Councillor Swinbanks?
Question maybe for the CAO. Is there a time limit for these barbecues? I'm not that familiar with the bylaw. Is there a time when they have to turn them off or extinguish them?
CAO, is this tied to park hours?
Thank you, Your Worship. I don't believe that there is a time of year. Perhaps there could be, I mean, we're in late evening probably, I mean, under the noise bylaw, but I don't believe there's anything that restricts anything outside of, if you're trying to refer to summer, for instance. I believe that it is year-round. It can be used year-round.
Thank you, CAO. Councillor Smilans?
Sorry, Mayor Talon. I meant time of day. I've heard from residents that are adjacent to Spring Park that they want to make sure that there's no midnight fires going on, midnight barbecues going on with the noise and all that sort of thing. So wondering if these need to be extinguished at a certain time, and if that's the case along the waterfront and at Spring Park.
CAO Cook?
Thank you, Your Worship. So I had my corporate officer here just advise that she is working on amendments to the noise bylaw. So if that is a concern for council, we can bring it up at that time. But currently it would be within the parameters of the noise bylaw. If there were challenges, then obviously we would we'd want to know that and respond accordingly.
Thank you, CAO Cook. I note that Spring Park also has a pickleball court, which, depending if you like that sport or don't like that sport, is a pleasant sound or an unpleasant sound. Any further discussion on this motion? Oh, sorry, Corporate Officer.
Sorry, thank you, Mayor Talon. Through you to Councillor Schweinbenz, there is something as well in the park regulation bylaw currently. Section 3, no person shall enter or be upon any beach or park between the hours of 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. each day. So that is one portion, but there will also be a noise bylaw component that would be applicable as well.
Thank you, Corporate Officer. Further discussion, Councillor Schweinbenz.
Sorry, one last quick one. Mayor Talon, to Corporate Officer CAO, I was there today and I noticed that the picnic tables that they have are cement. Wonderful, big heavy things that certainly won't ever be carried away, but they don't have that attachment where the barbecue can sit on. Do we have plans on installing those for those two particular tables? Thank you.
Community Services Manager.
Thank you, Mayor Talon. Through you to Councillor Schweinbenz. So the bylaw is making an amendment for a designated barbecue zone, and staff will be installing a pedestal, and that will be the only area of Spring Park where the barbecue is allowed to be used. It will just be on the concrete pad that is vacant nearby the picnic shelter, and we'll be installing the metal ones that are in the other barbecue designated zones currently.
You, Community Services Manager. Seeing no further discussion, I'll call the vote. All in favor? That carries unanimously. Next item of business, Corporate Officer.
There's no new business this evening, so moving on to questions from the public.
Any questions or statements from the public tonight? I'll go in the room first, and secondly, we'll go to anyone participating remotely on Zoom.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. My name is John Allen, 398 Hot Springs Road. You mentioned in your report that you'd met on November the 13th with an investigator from, I think, Natural Resources. Who was that investigator?
Good question. I believe his first name was Owen. CAO Cook, do you know the gentleman's last name?
Thank you, Worship. Owen is all I have. I didn't catch his, I don't remember his last name.
Oh, could I maybe get that name from the office tomorrow?
I'd have to. I'm not sure if that we can get that name. If we can, we'll have it. I'm not sure. Okay.
Well, it's just there are a lot of people interested in the issue, and yours is the first official confirmation that we've had that there actually is an investigation underway, and I'm sure people would like to know who's conducting it, whether it's the province or the federal government, and from what office it emanates, and what their parameters are. I think those are all reasonable questions because the public obviously has an interest in the issue. The second question I have is on the issue of the Blackwell report. I'd still like to know why council continues to work with Blackwell when all of this is based upon a totally backwards wind direction from the initial report. The wind in Harrison in fire season blows from the Fraser Valley up into Harrison Lake, from the south to the north, not from the north to the south as stated. And until that is corrected, all of this is a complete waste of time, money, and effort, and completely misrepresents the hazard and the danger that we face in Harrison Village. The reality is the wind in summertime, which is fire season, blows every afternoon that the sun shines from the south to the north and blows over the highly fuel-loaded east sector into the residential area, and that is our primary hazard. And that is being ignored. And I want to know why council doesn't just say to Blackwell, correct your initial report, restate everything based upon reality, not upon this fiction that the wind blows from the north to the south in summer, and get on with a proper assessment of our fire risk. Until you do that, I don't think that the village is well served by any of what you're talking about, or by the consultant. We have a high-risk situation. The second biggest factor after fuel in any wildfire situation is wind direction and velocity, and we have lots of both. So I don't know why you even talk about this until you correct the fundamental error. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. This matter did come up at the committee of whole meeting with the Blackwell consultants. I had the same question regarding wind direction and the updates in this report versus the 2017, 2019 Community Wildfire Protection Plan, as it was called then. If I recall, and I don't want to put words in our consultants' mouth, but my takeaway from the committee of the whole meeting when asked this question directly was predominant wind patterns give you a false sense of security, and the wind can blow from any direction, and a big enough storm generates its own wind. And their current thinking is that it's less of a factor than it was in the past. So that's what I recall from the committee of the whole meeting. Councillor Vital.
Mayor Talon, thank you for bringing that up regarding the community. The whole, I believe also Blackwell indicated that should there ever be a fire, that it creates its own wind pattern. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Vital. Are there any questions from Zoom? And just at this moment, I said I would go to people participating remotely.
Anybody on Zoom, if you have a question, please raise your hand. Looks like there aren't any questions, Your Worship.
There are no questions on Zoom. Please proceed.
Hi, Gary Webster, 520 McCombs Drive. I'd just like to say, you are right with the fire creates its own wind, but that's when it's a big fire. But when a fire first starts, the wind from south to north is going to greatly enhance that. That's all I have to say, so you can take it for what it is.
Thank you for your comment. And is there a motion to adjourn? Councillor Vital motion, seconded by Councillor Fascio. Discussion, all in favor. And we're adjourned. Thank you.